Mm-hmm.
They're not disposable in any way, and they should not be treated like hired help because they are more like family. Okay. The next would be sharing a babysitter if you can't afford it. So daycare, as you say, is quite expensive. Sharing a caregiver with your best friend, saying, Jane, let's share this babysitter. Let's share Alba. I'll pay for half of Alba's salary. You pay for the other half.
Oh, that's smart.
And she can spend half of the days in my apartment and half of the days in your apartment. And that way, our children know each other's homes like they're their own homes.
Wow.
And they feel then comfortable. And they have one caregiver who's taking care of two children. Remember, the ratios in daycare with strangers are no less than 5-1, usually 8-1.
Mm-hmm. This is
You're putting 5 one-year-old children or less, 5 children with one caregiver. And so I challenge any mother who's listening to this or father to think about caring for 5 children and to see, how would your patience level be? How would your love level be? How would your ability to soothe them when they're in distress? How would your relatability and intimacy be? And the answer is no. The answer is no. Just no. So it's this weird disconnect in families. Parents say, oh, I can give my child to this super caregiver. She's a super caregiver. She's better than me. She can handle 5 children at once. She's not better than you, and she can't handle 5 children at once. And so what you're doing is you're putting your child in an environment where they're going to be neglected.
I agree with you. And there's, something even deeper than that is when it's your child, okay, you have 3 kids at home, but there's this different level of empathy and sympathy that you have for your kids. So when your child is crying or when they fall, you still might be anxious, you might be angry and frustrated, but you're still able to nurture that child, your child, versus a super, babysitter or daycare worker. They're not going to have that same level of empathy and sympathy that you have for your kids. I think a lot of parents miss to understand that as well.
Yep.
It's a little different. What age is okay to put kids in school? We know that, those 3 years are extremely crucial for their development. Is 4 okay?
Daycare is under 3.
Yeah.
After 3 in this country, we call it preschool. In other parts of the world, they call it preschool at a year. Okay. Preschool is not a year old is not preschool. A year old is institutional care. A child cannot be in school. There's no school. It's not school. And again, that's gaslighting again, because it's teaching parents that your children need to be in school. They're going to be more successful. Yeah. No, I mean, children need nurturing. They need play. They need to be close to their source of security. That's it. They don't need school. And it isn't school until about 3. And even at 3, it's still got to be play-based, because their left brains are not ready to handle the frustration of cognitive development until they're about 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So, they learn their colors and they learn. So is it okay to have them sit in circle time? Sure, for a few minutes. But anything more than that, where you make them learn numbers and letters, you are cramming cognitive development into a child's brain who cannot handle the frustration yet.
Well, it's to impress the parents.
But it will backfire.
I agree.
Because if you try to develop the cognitive part of the brain, the left brain, before the social emotional part of the brain eventually rejects it and cannot learn, shuts down. You need to put your socks on before your shoes. And your socks is social emotional development. That is attachment, security, play. And then you can incrementally, when you get to, primary school, you can start to learn academically, but very slowly and incrementally. Before the age of 5, between 3 and 5, it needs to be play-based. And that's another myth. We tell parents that we can give children cognitive skills.
That's right.
You can,
Forced you.
but it will backfire. Mm.
And what are
The
some of
studies all show the
Uh-huh.
studies all show that children who are social emotionally sensitively raised in the first 5 years do much better in terms of cognitive and academic
Mhm.
development later on, whereas the children who are force fed cognitive skills at too early an age struggle with learning later on.
That's a very powerful study because I've seen 3-year-olds say things, do things, and I'm just like, how is this possible? But I think, again, going back to what I was saying, a lot of these daycares will force this on their kids because they want to impress the parents. Look what your children can do. This is, your money is going into the right place. And it's unfortunate because those kids, yeah, they fall out. They don't wanna learn anymore when they're like 5, 6, 7 years old. It's unbearable
Nope.
pressure.